Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Sports Card Madness brought to you by DraftKings and their app Pick6. Sign up with code MADNESS6 for up to $50 in free credits. This is LZ. I'm here with Nick. We have a guest today on the show. We have Mark Roenick, owner of Mark's Card Shop, which is in Downers Grove, Illinois. And the reason why we're having Mark on is Mark actually is pretty solid on social. And we're going to get into it. He's not afraid to express his feelings and his thoughts. And he actually posted something about CT scanning a couple weeks ago. So it obviously caught our eye. But he also does a lot of other topics. I just caught another one where he had some kids come in that are doing their own business locally, and he wanted to promote them. So we love his socials. We love what he's doing. So we're going to get into all those topics, CT scanning. We're going to ask him about threats that he's seeing, things that are keeping him up at night, things that are going well in his shop, and a lot of other stuff as well. So Mark, welcome to the show.
Welcome.
Thank you so much for having me, guys. Appreciate it. It's exciting. I'm pumped to be here.
Yeah, we're happy to have you.
We need more card shops, so it's awesome.
We do. We need more card shops, and we need more people with energy because Mark has some good energy. So this is going to be a good show. So we're looking forward to get into it.
I agree.
All right.
Let's
So
go.
let's go. Just to
Let's
start
go.
out, Mark. Just to start out, tell everybody about your shop. Just to give people a little bit of an introduction, and then we'll get into some topics here.
Awesome. The quick elevator pitch is I was in sales for 11 years, just floating Fortune 300 startup company, just trying to find my footing. I've always wanted to be a business owner. And, finally I'm looking for a job after COVID. And it's like, in the middle of COVID. And it's like, my wife's like, why don't you just start a card shop? You're looking at your cards all the time. You got, you're looking at a lease of a place. You're supposed to be job hunting. Why don't you start a card shop? So with her blessing and kind of positive encouragement, I started the shop in June of 2021, and it's been a whirlwind, and I love every minute of it. It has its ups and downs, but that's what I'm here to talk about. It's a fun adventure for me right now, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
Yeah, kudos on the lease. I saw some pictures of your shop. Like the outside looks nice brick. Looks like it's got good foot traffic. Even inside, for folks, it is a modern shop. It definitely is. It looks nice, looks professional in there. Yeah.
It's clean. It's not going to win the award for most square footage, but it's clean. It's kind of the galley style, if you will. But it's 3 blocks from the main drag of a wonderful town, Downers Grove, 50,000 plus people. So you kind of get off the beaten path a little, so you save a little bit of money, but it's right there, right within walking distance. And the city actually built us a bike rack like 6 months in because they're just seeing all these kids' bikes pile up and they just got sick of it. So,
that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
How many kids are coming into your shop? Like what between adults and kids? Like what's the ratio?
It's so many. Every day after school, there are kids coming in. That's every awesome. Day. Oh, if you came on a Saturday, if you've never been to the shop, you could come in after school, of course, and you're going to see kids there. But like you come in on a Saturday, it's going to be hopping, and there's going to be a ton of kids. But like even yesterday, like we had like just 5 guys like building sets. So like I'd say 50-50. We have a ton of adult collectors, but so many kids. So
that is so good to hear. We have a shop. I have a shop me and Nick, next town over, and I pop in there a lot, and I actually never see kids. It's always adults.
Yeah.
It
Wow.
always is. So
I don't know how it could be any other way. It's literally since the beginning, it's just been kids coming in, and we obviously enjoy that aspect of it. That's really our bread and butter, if you will, like families, kids, creating a fun environment. So
nice.
Yeah.
So Mark, what caught my attention with you was on Instagram. You did a reel. It was very passionate. It was kind of like it was filmed from your card shop, and you were discussing the CT scanning issue. If you've been living in a cave, the audience, I have an entire playlist. We have an entire playlist for CAT scanning coverage. So if you want to see that, but basically the premise is people are looking inside boxes and seeing stuff. So you did almost like an essay on this and what it means to you and how it impacts you. I just want to give you a chance now, to think that was like maybe a month ago or something like that. How do you feel now about the whole thing?
Basically the same as I described in my video. It comes from a place of frustration. You enter this industry, access is very limited. And, if you're someone with integrity, someone who brings passion every day, someone who wants to, enter in this and not half-ass it and give it their all. And that's one thing. But then you hear about some of the shenanigans and you realize like, okay, any big industry or growing industry is going to have these cottage industry scams and all this stuff going on. But the reality is none of these shops connected with bigger companies should be involved in any of that. And if they are, they should be exposed. And like, that's why when I saw your guys' content around it, I was happy to at least see people watchdogging it and getting behind an effort to like kind of expose it a bit. Cause yeah, there shouldn't be no congregation of shops at one bigger shop talking about this stuff. It's absolutely absurd. It's just like, we sell singles, but we also have sealed wax on our shelf. And, it's obviously opened up a huge can of worms in the industry.
Do you think it's impacted your business at all? Or do you have random people coming in talking about it and saying like, hey, have you heard about this CT scanning stuff? Because it was in the New York Times, I'm just curious.
Oh, most certainly. We chat about it. There's been people that have chatted about it. I don't think it's impacted my business too much. We're not selling Topps Mercury. We're not selling 2017 Flawless. I think our best box right now is like a 2017 Optic Mega, so if you want to hunt for Mahomes, you can have some fun. But the reality is, there are other shops that probably maybe lost some money because of all this news, sitting on sealed wax or having on their shelf. That's not a good thing. No one wants to see people lose money.
Right.
But I have customers that say like, I'm not buying 2020 wax anymore. And I'm like, I don't blame you. It is what it is. They ask, how can you mitigate this? How can you find ways to not get, caught buying a box? And I just tell them, you should buy from a trusted source, someone who gets it directly from the manufacturer. The one surefire way to do it maybe is buy a new product, because that'd be the only one that wouldn't have to be scanned, and go to a trusted source. And, beyond that, it's really not my problem, but it's something that I don't want to see. And obviously if I keep growing and things keep growing and I get that Topps Mercury one day, something I'd have to look at. But I don't know. It's not really our business model. Like I was mentioning to you before we started this, like families and everything that drive my business is so important to me. Mm-hmm. A lot of that stuff has nothing to do with expensive gambling. It's a part of the industry, but and I say gambling because like you're ripping a $10,000 box and you're buying it off eBay. You're gambling multiple times. You're gambling when you buy it, from who you buy it from, and then also when you open it, because clearly there's people doing this, and I don't know much about it, but I'm happy to see it get exposed.
Yeah.
Mark, you touch on something interesting. I do want to go back to some other CT questions for you, but thinking ahead for you, like you touched on like how it feels like your shop is more of kind of family oriented. Mm-hmm. Like, do you want to stay that route, or do you foresee your shop eventually having like the big banger boxes in there and being a lot more high end?
It's a good question. Like even when I said it, it's like, it makes you think. Like when I entered the industry, for sure, I wanted to be, the big shop with all the big boxes of wax. I feel like that got me in a lot of trouble too, overbuying from my distributor and playing these games. Frankly, I should have been playing, buying tons of wax, and just in a really crazy time too, 2021, put some cash, some capital constraints on the business. It's almost like it took me a few years to really say, hey, we're not going to buy cards over 1,000 anymore, unless we have we're going to broker a deal and I know this guy buys this trout, okay, have the relationship. But we really try to focus on, our sweet spot. I tell everyone with singles is like $20 to $100. It's not like we won't have cards higher than that, of course, but yeah, I don't know anymore. I don't know if I want 50 grand of Mercury in my shop. I really don't. I don't think so. Where things go, I don't know. I feel what we have is something really, really special and contained in just our shop. I know other shops do, family business well and everything, but it's truly something that I feel like we've grown into. I saw it right away and I was like, wow, this is actually really cool. Like, hey, this family might be spending $20. This family might be spending 100, but like, I'm not sitting here. Obviously there are people that open boxes and packs, but I'm not sitting here doing that as my main business model. It's become much less of that and much more of the family business. Hey, I want to buy a pack. The dad buys his 1990 Topps pack, wax pack. The kid buys his Prism retail pack and maybe spends $10 on singles. And then the girl buys the Buffy the Vampire Slayer mystery pack we made, and that's, we're trying to lean more into that. Yeah. Obviously, like scaling that is difficult. And that's a tremendous challenge I'm facing, and thinking of how we can further extend like the good energy and that family environment we do have and get into other verticals. So it's kind of where my mind's been, honestly, because we do the cards and the boxes really, really well. But there is a ceiling to that, if you will. And obviously the industry is changing dramatically too. So that factors into things too.
Mark, I think you just, without knowing, taught me a lesson. As you were talking about how your shop and, $20 to $100 cards and family oriented, we've recently spoken around how we live in a social media world, and we're all on social media, whether it's Instagram or Facebook or what have you. And we see these shops on Instagram that have these big boxes and they're making these big pulls. And I'll just speak for myself. Like when I see that, I can't help but think, oh, geez, that must be what every shop is like. Every shop's got these, these big pulls and these big boxes. But now that you talk about it, like I've been to high-end stores, like high-end shops that look beautiful. And I walk in there and it's a ghost town. It's a ghost town. They have this one case with these like Mahomes and Brady rookies and like whatever it is. And nobody's in there.
I know the shop you're talking about.
Yeah, I know you do. I saw it in your eyes. Then you, on a random Wednesday after school, your shop's banging. You got all these kids in here buying $10 packs and buying $20 cards. And like this is, Nick, to your point you made at the very beginning, we need to have shop owners on more. Like, This is I'm gonna bet this is what real shops are like, not what we see on socials and on Instagram.
But there's always in any industry, there's a place for Walmart, there's a place for Neiman Marcus, and then there's something in the middle, right?
In the middle.
Right. And I think that's probably the sweet spot for a shop, without putting words in your mouth.
Yeah.
No, 100%. I mean, and I admittedly, like I came into a territory, if you will, where there was already an established shop, and they have 3 brick and mortar locations, and they do a great job. Every time people ask me about, hey, we all do something great. They do a great job, and they often have way more wax inventory than I'll ever even dream of having. But I know what we do really well too. And I just lean into that and try to amplify that as much as possible,
All right, good. Thank you. Sorry for going down a rabbit hole a bit but I wanted to understand kind of your DNA and how your shop's made up. All right, let's go back to CT scanning a bit. Did you know anything about CT scanning before we brought it up? Like, was there any rumblings from anybody you knew or?
Not a soul, not a soul. And I work with a few guys who will wholesale cards and just, whatnot guys and other people. And one person mentioned, they're like, I've been in this industry for 20 years. You never heard of that? As if like, I was like, no, I never heard of that in my life, man. He made it seem like he had heard about that before. Not that he's involved in it, because I know that's not his area of expertise, but he's a singles guy. But it's just like, yeah, he must have heard some rumblings way before I mean, you guys literally are the ones I first heard it from. And it makes complete sense from that standpoint. Like, oh yeah, now we're dealing in $10,000 boxes, and there's the technological capabilities there. Cottage industry formed, and then you hear about that company, and now there's more of them apparently. My hope and goal would be the manufacturers find some technology in the packs, to make this an obsolete thing for new product. I don't know if the cat's already out of the bag for the other stuff, but that would be my hope, because again, I don't want it to see it. Obviously. So,
yeah. What are your thoughts on the companies that are doing this?
So the companies doing it,
like the scanning companies, right? They're providing a service.
It's interesting. I feel like they're not obviously in cards, and they don't necessarily understand what they're getting into and how this looks to most of the industry. They're I think you guys mentioned they're like a startup, hey, how can we make money? You're like, hey, here's a good way. And they kind of threw it together, but now it seems like it's caught traction. Apparently there's 3 or 4 more companies doing it. That's crazy to me. But that means something's working, or people are funding that habit. I don't fault them. But at the same time, I don't know if it's sustainable. I wouldn't be a part of it, right? Like I just think it's like it's kind of like last night on Sports Card Radio and live stream, they're talking about the whole Counter Strike skin gambling thing, and it's like you can make millions of dollars. Yeah, there's going to be a lot of people that will have to live with that 20, 30 years down the road. I scammed some 13-year-olds for some Fortnite skins. It's just like it's a joke. I would never want to be a part of something like that, but clearly so I don't have good thoughts about them, but clearly they're going to keep doing it. So
that makes sense. I mean, yeah, there's ways to make money in this world, right? You can earn it, you can take it, you can steal it, you can gamble. And not all of them feel good, but they're all ways. So it's interesting you say that, right?
100%.
So Mark, we gave you a little bit of homework before the pod. We don't usually do this, but we thought it's important because you're a card shop, and I kind of told you to give us the 2 or 3 things that are keeping you up at night. Like when you hit the pillow and you're about to go to bed as a card shop owner, what are you thinking about?
Most certainly. I'll start with like the obvious, and everyone's situation is different when it comes to like capital constraints as a hobby shop. Clearly, like some people started with $500,000, some people start with 100 grand. Most people I talk to are like, you should not start a shop without, at least 100 grand in the bank, partner 50,000 each, something like that. Cause I do get people reaching out to me, asking me questions. I probably talked to 10 separate people for 30 minutes. I should probably charge them a consulting fee. Just TikTok and Instagram hitting me up. Hey, can I talk to you? I'm opening a shop in Tennessee or whatever. And I'll tell them like, don't start it with 15 grand like I did. Because you are going to get over leveraged quick, and it's not a place you want to be. Particularly in the time I started, 2021, where you talk to the distributor and they're like, okay, yeah, you 50,000, you're going to have to buy this and that. And I'm like, I don't have 50,000. What can I, okay. 10K. Okay. All right. You can do 10K. Yeah. Cause I need 5K for my IKEA furniture. And Lightspeed point of sale is way too expensive. Well, I'm with Shopify now, but, which I'm very happy about. But it's one of those things where you get the Amex and then you're like, okay, like I'm going to be a baller. I'm going to start to, do this and that. And I wouldn't do it. I wouldn't do it because it costs you, obviously, right? Like you start to kick the can on this and that, and it begins to cost you. And then you start to not get the buying power that you wanted. You start to not be able to make those deals that you want to make because you're, hey, I got to sell this or do this to fund that. And it's like you start with a lot more money. You're not put in a hole or put in a corner. You're able to play more offense than defense. And that's so capital constraints always an issue. And I know some breakers and shops have terms and stuff. I know distributors that offer terms, and I know some of the manufacturers too. But even that can get hairy. I've heard different people getting caught with $50,000 worth of Bowman draft, and it's like, whoa, like thank God I don't have that. I'm kind of glad I didn't get any of that allocated. And the reality though is capital constraints is absolutely always on the mind of a shop owner. There are shops, again, I'm thinking of that it's no issue. And a lot of those shops came before COVID, and they have every right to not be, more financially constrained because they've built their business and they rode that wave in 2020, 2021, and probably had some inventory they were able to cash out. So it's not like, oh, woe is me. It's just, I would recommend if you're getting in this industry, don't get so focused on wax. Even those kids who came in, Fusion Trading Card shop. They asked me about wax. I'm like, guys, don't worry about this stuff on the wall. It's not your focus. Go to some card shows, bring your $100 or whatever you got, and build your inventory that way, and you'll get much further than you would trying to get a distributor or anything like that. And down the road, you can always add that when you're in a more comfortable position. So cash constraints is one of them.
Okay. So that's something that bothers a lot of businesses, right? I mean, it's not just certainly no one's immune to that. No matter what you're starting in this world, you need to look at it like a business, and there's revenue and there's cost and there's a lot of other factors, marketing, advertising, and you started to kind of figure that out, which is awesome. Now, what about I think we talked offline a bit about the National Card Show. And we were there last year. I don't travel much, but I'm going to be there all 5 days next year with LZ. So it'll be super fun. What do you think about the National Card Show?
So when I got the shop open in June of 2021, I was like, okay, I'm not going to have a table at the National in 1 month. That's not going to happen. I still tried, but it was in Chicago that year. And I remember walking it being like, when it comes back after Cleveland, I'm going to get a table for sure. And, we're still around in a couple of years. Things are going good. I still can't get a table. And that's in 2023. And I know it's kind of a, I don't want to say good old boys network. It's a unique arrangement in which I don't understand, but you apply and you put a deposit down. If they take your deposit, then you're on some wait list, and it's a supply and demand issue. I totally get that aspect of it. My concern or my issue with it is I walked the show. I actually went to the Breakers Pavilion and I saw empty tables, and I literally sat there, excuse me, for 10 minutes, 20 minutes. I'd see people like, hey, they're like, oh, you set up here? I'm like, no, but
you just grabbed an empty table.
Yeah. Just like,
good for you.
Just relax. Good for you. And I'm not selling anything.
Love
and
it.
That was like, one of my thoughts was like, because I was really getting amped about this. I was like, I'm going to set up a table outside of Rosemont. If the cops come, I'm going to say I'm giving everything away for free. I'm not even selling anything. Everyone I talked to is like, yeah, that sounds like a good use of time, man.
This man is, just for the audience, this is lessons of a salesman right here. This is how you roll. This is how I roll too. I would just take over. I'd make some sort of side deal and find a table, and then until I got caught, and then I'd pack up. But
and that's essentially what happened. Finally, like some guy kept circling me, and I was like, all right, let's move. But it was cool. Like, and so I do think there is more space than that. And I don't know how it all works, but another issue is, you'll go past some rows and you'll see some people kind of mailing it in. And again, I'm not trying to pick on anybody. It's just, you see someone mailing it in, and I know how we do shows. I'm standing up the whole time. If a dad wants to talk for 20 minutes, I don't care if it's busy. I'm going to talk to him for a few minutes. I'm going to handle something I need to handle. I'm going to go back to the guy. And we're going to continue to educate and talk to anyone who wants to talk to us. I do giveaways. We like just have fun. I want to bring energy. I want people to know we're there. And again, I can't help but think, man, if you just let us take that table or that table, the show gets 0.01% better. And that should be the goal for the best card show in the world.
Yeah. So, it's an interesting problem. They've got a legacy aspect, right? People have been around. So you need to reward your legacy tables that have been there since the beginning times, but you also want to freshen things up. And the easiest way to get around that is, you take 10 tables and you lottery them off, or you just go full capitalist and you take 10 tables and you auction them off. Either way, or maybe you do both. One is kind of nasty and the other one is sort of Robin Hood, but I don't know. It's a tough thing to solve. So. Makes sense.
Sorry, I was a wrestler in high school. I got a little cauliflower ear, so headphones don't really like my ears, but it's okay.
Yeah, excellent.
All right, so with us bringing it up in that particular section, that is something that keeps you up at night. You're worried right now about trying to get a table, especially it's home court for you, right? I mean,
that's what really just gets me. It is home court. It's I really would love to have a table. I'd love to blow it out. I'd love to prove somebody right for giving me a chance. Yeah. I wouldn't say it keeps me up as much as a couple of, obviously cash constraints, product allocations, that type of stuff. Are we being the best partners we can be? Lots of different things on my mind, but it did prevent me from napping the other day. I was trying to nap and I wrote them an email because I was just like, I can't handle this right now. I need them to know how I feel. And I wrote them an email and said, you guys mentioned you would get back to us if like we're on the wait list. I didn't hear anything. So am I even on the wait list? Like, take my money. Just give me some hope. But yeah, it's definitely an issue. And going in the third national now as a shop in Chicagoland. And again, one that's putting in the work, putting in the effort. You check our Google reviews. We got great reviews. We had a 5-star up until 2 weeks ago. And then like this one guy comes in, I have to tell the story, buys a hobby mosaic mega. And I'm certain he thought it was a retail mosaic mega. But we've been blessed with a Panini account in November of 2022. That doesn't mean we get everything. We get very minimal product from them, but we are able to get retail. And they call it hobby retail. I think it used to be considered like Fanatics retail before the deal, and then it shifted over. They call it Hobby Megas, Hobby Blasters. I don't know why they wouldn't just come up with another name. It'd be a lot easier to explain to people. But again, these little nuances, maybe comparing apples to oranges and not understanding, like, yeah, that is worth the extra $15. And I'm sorry you didn't hit what you want to hit. There is that element of it. You can't please everybody. But we are very proud of our 4.9. we work tirelessly to maintain that. So
Excellent.
There we go. Congrats.
thank you.
Staying in that same vein around threats, because we knew this question was coming because we gave you some homework. We've seen recently, again on socials, people getting robbed at card shows. Like that is a real thing. Nick recently just did kind of his own post around. He thinks this is there's going to be an uptick. We're going to have to start worrying about this more and more. I'm just curious for you as a shop owner, is that a concern? Have you had to deal with anything like that so far in the 3 or 4 years you've been open?
We've had some petty theft issues. One time a kid stole a $500 card, like on video across the thing. Ultimately, his parents came in very apologetic. We figured it out. No issue at all. Petty theft is something we have to look out for. You'll see an empty top loader and you're like, okay, someone take a $5 card. It's always going to be relevant there. But as far as like robberies, I genuinely have no concern. And let me explain why. The way our shop inventory is, again, we're not carrying $5,000 items. I can't count any $1,000 plus items currently at the shop. We're 2 blocks away from the Downers Grove Police Department, who I am really good friends with. And, and I take care of
they get a 10% discount.
Open up a card shop right next to a prison or a police station.
And we're across the street from the post office. So it's a good spot.
Oh, nice.
But I remember like for the first year, a cop just like walked right to the back, like fast walk. I'm like, how can I help you, sir? Whoa, walked right back. Just kind of like looks, doesn't say anything. He's like, oh, nothing. We're good. Because I'm sure he was like, what is this new shop all these kids going into? Like, let me see what the heck's going on here. And it's like, yeah, it's just a card shop, man. So, we're cool with the police. They're very close to us. You at the post office, a great spot. And then, of course, we're alarmed up, insurance policy, all of it. I live 3 minutes away. So, we do everything we can to mitigate. But, in the end, if something happens, something happens. But I'm sure it keeps up other people at night way more than it does me.
Yeah. What about shows? You mentioned that you do go to shows. Are you worried? What do you do? Anything special? Any advice you have for going to shows and protecting yourself?
It is definitely difficult. You got to have a second person with you always. You're going to need to go to the bathroom. You need to grab a slice of pizza, especially if you're standing all day and working it. The reality, though, is like you have 5 or 6 people there. And depending on how much you set up, if you're one table, it's rather easy to keep an eye on everything, especially if you have 2 people. But if you got 2 tables, that's when it can get a little dicey, especially if you have bargain bins. People try things sometimes, but I've never really experienced too much issues at card shows. But again, our inventory is different than the next guys, and I would say the shows that I generally go to more local, 50 table, maybe 100 table. It's not as relevant. We've seen things happen though. We've seen like this dealer mention it, hey, I need everyone to help me find this guy right now. And, I even had a guy who I'd saw in my shop before. And then a dealer came up to me and he's like, have you seen this guy? I'm like, yes, I have. I've seen that guy. And it's like, watch out for him. And it's like, good to know. Wow. So yeah, there's a lot of dealers working together, making sure we're looking out for each other's backs. So
some advice there, Mark. You see all the flash on socials, right? It's like, look at me, I got this 52 mantle. What's up? It's like 50 grand. And then it just sits there like show after show after show, but you got it. And it's like this trophy thing. And then you know what happens? It gets stolen. Or like somebody trails you because they know you have it. And here you are making a good living and running a good business. And you said you could barely even find a card over $1,000. So it's interesting, you definitely, you could go both ways about it. But if you go high-end wax, high-end cards, you up the risk meter big time. And your risk meter is much lower just by the nature of how you are selling things and set up your business. So I find that very interesting.
Definitely. And one thing people always comment about our shop is just new singles all the time. We've got 4 cases, one being TCG, like Pokemon in one piece. And the other's basketball, football, baseball. We kind of rotate what we do with those cases, but the cards are constantly being rotated, in and out. Excuse me, boys. My little son had an RSV a couple weeks ago, and I'm afraid I'm going to pick something up. I don't know. But the reality is like, if you're going to do my approach, you got to be moving cards. People love coming to the shop a couple times a week because they know, hey, if I leave that Cutler patch there for too long, it'll be gone. and it's kind of this fun little thing. We is like, hey, you want it today? I'll give you $5 off. If you don't take it, it's going to be gone Thursday. And then they're like, I'm going to wait it out. That happened twice yesterday. So
Yeah.
Wow.
it's just how you manage your inventory. If it's lighter on the,
Right.
if it's lighter prices, then you absolutely need to move the cards quicker so that people keep coming back. If it's stale $20 to $100 inventory,
Yeah, it makes sense.
you're going to have a problem. So.
So you brought up TCG, which is interesting. I know I got a local shop in Plymouth, Massachusetts. 2/3 of their business is TCG, and the large portion of that is Pokemon, obviously. What is TCG like for your business? What percentage of it is your overall sales? How's it doing?
It's at least 35%, and it's stayed consistently there since I started. Also, you get product allocations easier for Pokemon, or at least you did in 2021, whereas it took a while and more money to get a box of Prism. I could get a case of Fusion Strike at the time. It's like, it was cool. It started slow, and then I worked my way up to exactly what I need, say like 5-6 cases of boosters. The reality though is that was easier to get. That excuse me, boys. Sorry, haven't talked this much in a while since yesterday.
Yeah, right.
I was like in the
that.
shop, like couldn't shut my mouth yesterday. Now I was like, but yeah, it's a huge part of it. We have 35 Pokemon trade nights since we've opened.
Okay.
We love Pokemon. And now One Piece. I was very careful though about bringing in another TCG because I don't want to just front like, oh, we're Magic Shop and I can't speak to it. And I'm getting there with One Piece, but enough people came in, the demand was there. It's like, all right, let's get some boosters, let's get some singles in the case. But Pokemon is a forever mainstay at our shop. We love Pokemon. We love our Pokemon crowd. They're as passionate as anybody. And I'll say now this year is a huge release year for Pokemon. And I have a funny little story about the newest set, Prismatic Evolutions. It's coming out in a few weeks. It's high in demand. One thing card shops will do is pre-order boxes, ahead of time, of course, just like any business, get some cash flow in. We know it's coming. Like clockwork, I've gotten at least 5-6 cases of this particular product, Pokemon, like for 3.5 years. I got them cut in half for Prismatic Evolutions, but I already did my pre-orders. I already did them. So, a lot of the guys were worried. Hey, are you good? Or is that we're hearing a lot of shops are canceling their orders. I went to tcgplayer.com and I bought 2 cases for $1,000 each. When I don't want to say my exact cost, but like we normally sell ETBs for $45-$50. There's 10 units per case. It's more a $500 case type thing, usually. At least that's what I got on my pre-order. And, part of that's like knowing your product and, hey, this is going to be a better set. You shouldn't pre-order it there. But, the last few sets haven't been huge sets. So I was willing to do those things. And then you get more word out. It's like, oh, no, this is a really good set. But I'm honoring it. I'm actually going to lose money on my Prismatic Evolution ETB set. But I take pride in knowing like I'm one of the few holding their pre-orders. I would not sell something and not deliver. Now, if they just say, hey, you're not getting any, that's a whole nother story. But I still have some coming in, and then I had to source some others out. But it's another kind of random thing you have to deal with as a card shop,
Right.
It's the cutting of pre-orders. I mean, I even was told once, hey, you have 5 cases of this on a Friday. On Monday, they told me, you got 1. That was an error. Sorry about that.
What?
Oh, yeah. I have the paper. I was like, no.
And then you just say, thank you,
guys
sir.
Offline.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir. May I have another?
Thank you.
I said, this is what you guys think of me? ?
All right. So it sounds like for 2025, Pokemon's going to be a big year. It's going to be a big year for them. What other trends are you seeing for 2025 and beyond?
Well, excuse me. Sorry, boys. How many times are you going to say sorry, boys? I'm just going to go raspy, whatever. The reality is this, with the licensing shifting over, we're going to see obviously a huge shift that I can't even anticipate. I'm direct with Panini. I am now thankfully direct with Topps, and I'm so pumped about that.
Oh, good.
Working my way up with them, trying to be the best partner I can be. But with the basketball license, I think coming later this fall, going exclusively to Topps, I'm starting to get pre-order, for like Turkish basketball, Turkish league basketball from Panini. And I'm just like, You know what? I know my clientele. I don't know them that well. I don't know how many people will buy, Turkish blasters. So
you're gonna have one dude from Turkey that's visiting Chicago. He's gonna be so pissed you didn't get the box in the back.
No, seriously. And I'm just like, I'm trying to sniff out the Hedo Turkoglu fans, but it's
hey, Mark, that might be your in with the national. You should tell them you're going to be the international table and you're going to sell Turkish basketball.
Turkish basketball.
Big international affair. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It'll go next to the Korean League soccer prism.
Exactly.
And my Liverpool lineage sets from Tops. Oh man, I'd laugh if I wasn't, sitting on some of these boxes sometime. Well, I'm just gonna laugh anyway. But yeah, it's fun. It's fun. It's a part of the game, and I see they're trying to, figure out their new spot and spacing. And at the end of the day, I'm so pumped to still be a part of the Panini brand because there's still going to be some elements of hopefully, I don't know where it's going, if they're going to license their designs to Tops or if they're going to just put out unlicensed, but people still are going to love Kabooms and Color Blasts and Downtowns. Sure. So there's still a place there for sure. Where it goes, but that's the biggest thing on everyone's mind. I think it's a hobby shop owners. Like, how is this shift going to affect business? I mean, because now you might be even uber relying on that Tops product for the new licensed stuff. So, and then how will unlicensed continue to sell with that anticipation in the way, it's
going to be a weird few years, like 20 years from now, you're going to be like, all right, so if you want CJ Stroud's auto, you got to go here. If you want Wemby's auto, you got to go there, but it's unlicensed. And, Kabooms, they were licensed. Now they're not. And Downtown, same thing. It's going to be like, just like, what happened? So if you're like a set collector in like 2040, you'd be like, this sucks. You know what I mean?
Yep. Totally.
All right. We're going to close. This is actually the last question before we close it down. All right. So Mark, one of the other questions I had is live selling and breaking. Are you doing that in the shop now? And if not, are you planning to do that in the future?
Yeah, we're not doing it in the shop. I have a wonderful breaker named Brent, and he does it remotely. We actually started doing this in 2024. He'll come a couple times a week, pick up new inventory. But at first, we started with like a singles focus. And let me tell you, that is very difficult to do. One, because people want football, mainly on Whatnot. We tried our baseball show. We tried our pop culture show. It's an audience you really have to build and develop. Football is there and people are very interested in buying football cards. Problem is you're going to, excite the Panthers fan one day. And then the next week he's going to say, why is it all, other teams? Where's my Panthers stuff? Or, hey, that was a great 90s serial numbered lot you had last week. Why is it like modern stuff now? You're feeding this beast by just buying every week anything that comes in so that you can get more singles on Whatnot and refill your current inventory in store. I wish I personally started breaking a little bit more early on, 21, 22, but I just had a lifestyle choice I made. I have two beautiful kids, Lucy and George. Lucy's 4.5 years old. George is 6 months old. And I like picking them up from daycare. I like spending time with them at night. I don't have a lot of time to do breaks. I want to consider it, as things are leveling off here a bit and maybe try my hand at it. But for now, we have a wonderful breaker, Brent, who's live 3 times a week. He's live right now on Whatnot, Mark's Card Shop. And we've had some nice growth on Whatnot this year and plan to keep developing it. I know it's the future. Live selling is the future. And I'm actually excited to see what you guys have to do on Fanatics Live. I saw that little teaser there. I'm curious.
Well, I don't know. We haven't made any decisions yet. No decisions yet.
All I know is that whatever we do will push the envelope of what is currently allowed. That is for sure.
I think that's smart, man. I think I feel like it's like people on LinkedIn right now. Get crazy, get weird, because you're going to stick out. It's just there's so many things, so many social networks that are going to be everything to everybody. And everyone has this idea is oh, you have to do this or conform to this. Dude, whatever. I don't want to say I'm going to OnlyFans, but people need to start, going to OnlyFans, start a cooking show or something. I'm sure it's already been done. The reality though is you bringing that or someone else bringing that, it's inevitable. Whether people like it or not, or like my family shop, we're not going to be doing that, but it's just, it's clearly smart business for someone who wants to dump into that. And you're going to make money because, as you've said so astutely, gambling and sex sells. I don't know if I said exactly like that, but that's the reality. You know, it's
Short
the
and
actual
sweet.
reality we live in. And you
Yeah,
see it
everybody hates to face. I won't go off on a tangent here, but
No.
yeah, I I agree with you, and we
Yeah.
shall see. We shall see.
Yeah. All right. That's a good close. That's a good end cap. Mark, thank you for the time today. This is great.
Thank you.
Again, you taught me a lesson, opened up my mind a bit. Interesting to see kind of how your shop works and you getting started. Really cool story. We're pushing for you for the national. Get Mark a table. Get him a
Let's
table at
go.
the national.
Mark's card
Come
shop.
on.
He needs a table.
Let's go.
Let's go, guys.
How can people reach out to you, find your shop, follow you, all those things?
Yeah, we are Mark's Card Shop on Instagram. That's all one word, Mark's Card Shop. TikTok, Mark's Card Shop. And then on Whatnot, Mark's Card Shop. You know, we got Facebook. I'm not going to push anything else. Those are the three mains. We are at 914 Curtis Street in Downers Grove, Illinois. Yeah, that's really it. Come check us out. Just Google Mark's Card Shop. We'll pop up. And or Google, great card shops in Illinois. I hope we pop up. And that's it. Come, you can DM us if you have questions. Right now that's how we roll. As things get more automated or get a social media person maybe one day, it's usually me answering the DM. So if you want to chat, throw me a DM.
There you go.
All right. Love it.
There you go. Excellent.
All right.
Hey, thank you guys for the opportunity. I appreciate you guys. And really, I love your content. I love watching it. And yeah, I'm probably your top story watcher. So, keep it up. I love it.
Well, keep it going, Mark.
Hey,
Thanks,
thank
Mark.
you
Keep it
guys.
going.
I
It was a
will.
pleasure.
I appreciate
Thank you.
guys.
All right.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Bye,
Appreciate
everybody.
you guys.